Vipul Prabhu. Oh, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Ah.
She's downstairs working in kitchen.
Oh, okay.
So how many months or weeks of groceries are we supposed to stock?
I don't know. I don't have that. I got vegetables yesterday from farmers market, so I think I'm good for 2 weeks now.
I would say 2 weeks is fine. Then you go out again.
For 2 weeks.
After 2 weeks, they accelerate and shut down all the stores. Then we're stuck, right? Like, should we keep like 2 months of dry beans and rice just as a backup? I don't know.
Only yes, all Indians have that.
Yeah. I stocked up for 2 months, 1 month back almost. And again, I refilled. But the dry items we can stock for 2 months. But the problem is with milk and vegetables, which we can stock only maximum, I think, 10 to 15 days.
Milk, you can buy Parmalat milk, which lasts for 6 months. And it's just as good as fresh milk. You get little boxes of it.
Which one?
Parmalat.
Powder.
Parmalat. You might have seen it. You get it in the shop, in the aisles only. It's there, little boxes. You know how you get almond milk? It's not in the fridge. It's outside on the shelves only because it lasts for 6 months. It's just regular fresh milk. It's 100% milk only. But because the packaging they make very ultra heated and also it preserves the milk for a long time. Once you open, then you have to use
pasteurized milk, right? Remember in UK?
Yeah, UHT milk. UHT. You can look it up. Parmalat. Parmalat. So that one you can do everything with it. You can make yogurt. You can make paneer out of it. You can put it in. You can just have cereal with it.
I don't think they'll close Costco, will they? I don't think so.
They will never close.
Stocking up, they're selling out. You get it at Costco, you get it at ShopRite, you get it everywhere, but they might have sold out now. So
Costco has their supplies. Everything's there apart from the toilet roll, but
they would never close store like Costco or ShopRite. They would never close them.
So
otherwise,
we'll always get things we need.
Then you'll get panic. Then you'll get mass panic and.
Exactly. That's why they won't close. They might put like timings. They're gonna be open for short hours, but they would never close.
Yeah. But all Indian houses have enough for 2 weeks. Dry food.
Who has 2 months supply? I'm coming over there.
Come here, we have plenty.
Rice and dal, all you need is rice and dal. We can survive on khichdi for months.
Khichdi, we have enough, and frozen vegetables. We're good for 2 weeks, 2 months.
True.
Khichdi for months.
I agree, Mataji.
Yeah,
that's what Pawan said. As long as you even give me rice, I'll be fine. Don't worry.
Is also fine. That's it.
Don't go.
Protein mil gaya, dal mil gayi, ho gaya. So, but it's kind of.
Who is CJ Dixon?
Mataji, that pohe, suji and dalia will also help.
Yeah.
Pohe, suji, dalia doesn't need much.
Suji, dalia, yeah.
And I don't know if you don't eat sabudana, but sabudana also.
Yeah, I have a lot of dry. Everything dry is there. 5 pounds. I think looks like Mr. Trump might consider stronger for our area. No. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Rivo! Good job, Sudhi.
Thank you.
And Hari.
Thank you.
And everybody else.
Welcome, Sukhada Mataji. And we don't know who is twin one.
Twin one. Yeah, I don't know.
Hari Krishna. Dhanbad, this is Shama Sakhi and Shama Gopi twins from Chicago. Is this for Hari Parsada Prabhu, right? This class?
Yes.
It will start.
Hari
in 8
Parsada
o'clock.
Hari Parsada Prabhu's class will start at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, which is like
8
10,
o'clock.
15 minutes, right? 10, 15 minutes?
Yes.
In 15 minutes, but you're welcome to stay. This is just our local Bhakta Rish gathering.
Oh, so are you all hosting him?
This same Zoom site is hosting him, yes.
Oh, okay, fine. So I'll just keep myself on mute. So just wanted to hear him. Thank you so much for organizing this.
No problem.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Sukhada Mataji. How are
Yes,
you?
hi Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone actually. It's nice to see everyone here.
Hare Krishna.
Hey,
Yes.
how are you? Good, good.
Yes. How's Guru Prabhu?
Good. Yeah, they're all in their own something or the other.
On corner of the house. Everyone finds the corner of the house and doesn't come out.
I know. All right. Very nice.
Yes. Okay.
I was thinking, Prabhu, like maybe see some of, I don't know how many of us in our Bhakti Riksha know about Hari Parsada Prabhu. So maybe if you can give a brief introduction about Hari Parsada Prabhu, that would be great so that they can appreciate the class.
Sure. Let me look it up here. Yeah. District Advisory Council. Okay, so Hari Parsada Prabhu, who we'll hear from at 8 o'clock, he is a disciple of His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj, and he joined ISKCON in 2002. He was born in a Gauda Saraswata Brahmin family in Mumbai. His father and grandfather are both devotees of Sri Sri Rukmini Vitthala of Pandharpur, right? So the very famous Vitthala deities in Pandharpur. Hari Parsada Das is a learned Sanskrit in the traditional way in his childhood, and was taught the Laghu Siddhanta Komadi of Pandit Varadraj. Between 2002 and 2007, he served as a book distributor and organized programs and seminars for the ISKCON youth in Juhu. He has also written Sanskrit verses in Chitra Kavya style. In 2007, Hari Parsada Das was appointed the assistant editor of Gopal Jiu Publications. So for those who don't know, Gopal Jiu Publications is a publication, I think started by Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj, another great devotee and disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who passed away, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. I don't remember exactly when. So
1996.
1996, almost so, 20 years ago. So Hari Parsada Das is an accomplished Sanskrit scholar, having studied the Ashtadhyayi, complete 4,000 sutras by Panini, and completing a translation with commentary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Manasiksha in 2015. He currently compiles a fortnightly e-magazine called Sri Krishna Kathamrita Bindu, where he regularly contributes fresh translations and articles. He holds a master's degree in information technology, graduating with distinction from the Manipal University in 2012. He's married with a son. Hari Parsada has been a member of the Shastric Advisory Council of ISKCON GBC since 2016. So that's he came to our temple last year, and I don't know how many people had the opportunity to hear him. He spoke wonderful katha, most unique perspective on Krishna's Damodar Leela. Very nicely explained that, and gives very, very many wonderful classes on Bhagavad Katha and all of our different literatures there. So that's what I know. I think a while ago there was a video which was very, very famous on Facebook, where his, I think, little baby son was chanting the Mahamantra.
No, he would cry if they stopped chanting.
Yeah, if his son would start crying if they stopped chanting, right? Yeah. So.
Is that Hari Parsada Prabhuji's son, Prabhu? That video came long back, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, a few years ago. He must be the boy. He's like 4 or 5 now.
Okay.
A few years ago that video came.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
His class is very, very good. So I used to hear his classes. And
after he came to our temple only, he came to know.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. That helps.
Okay. I was hoping before, we have a few minutes before the class starts at 8 o'clock, if anyone would like to share anything interesting that's happening to them, their experience going in the current situation, staying at home with the family and working and trying to make everything happen. Share how you're feeling, what you're thinking, share how Krishna consciousness is helping you or not helping you, or share something about what's going on with you. Anyone would like to do that?
Start by yourself.
You want to start?
No.
No. Oh, Hashimata just start. Go ahead, Hashimataji. Please start.
Prabhuji, I just want to share. I'm not sure how everybody is experiencing, but I'm missing the association very, very much. So at this time, I have more time to do everything that I should be doing, but I'm forcing myself to do. Whereas in association, it just comes up automatically. The feeling is different, Prabhuji. I feel very different. I'm missing it terribly. I don't know. When I see you all, I think I'm going to cry because I'm missing really badly. The temple, everybody, it's just, I'm doing everything. So, but in between, I get lost. Like, you know.
That's very nice, Mataji. That's very nice to be missing the association and missing the temple and all of the devotees. Today, I went to the temple to just drop off some groceries and things for the devotees there, and I didn't go in for darshan because I know we've closed the temple and no one should go in, right? Just in case. And one of the devotees, Balaram Prabhu, came down and he said, "What a terrible age! You come to the temple and you can't even come in for darshan. How sad." And I was feeling sad too, just outside the temple and not being able to go in and offer pranams to our beautiful Gaunitai deities there that Pawan Prabhu is displaying for us. So, Anyway, that's nice. But anyway, Harshita Mataji, so we have to still make the best of things. In our scriptures, it says that we have this human body, which is actually a bad bargain, and we have to make the best of this bad bargain. Within this human body, now we are in a time, a situation, which is also a very bad bargain, right? We're all being forced to, restrict ourselves, restrict what we can do, what we can't do. But still, so what can we do in this time? We can chant more, read more, and so forth. But as you rightly said, it's much easier to do that in the association of devotees. So even though we can't get physical association of devotees, due to the benefits of technology, modern technology, we can get this kind of virtual association. And as you know, every day at 8 o'clock in the evenings, Monday this week, we did every day. We have a nice Krishna Katha, and you can see all of the devotees, different devotees who are connected. They can ask questions, they can interact a little bit, and it's not the same as being in a room all together and seeing each other's faces and so forth. But it's very much, I appreciate it so much at the end of the day, especially when we've been forced to just stay in the house and kind of be locked up, that at least we can share some thoughts, hear some Krishna Katha, see the devotees, see Maharaj there. Jayadvait Maharaj has been coming on every day. And that makes me feel very good. Oh, I see his face. I thought I saw Hari Parsada Prabhu come on there for a minute. So thank you for sharing, Harshita Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hari Parsada Prabhu, Dandavad Pranams.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. So, so we're very honored to have you, Prabhu, Hari Parsada Prabhu, for the rest of you, and many people are just joining, Prabhu. Okay. So Hari Parsada Prabhu is in Mumbai right now, where it's, I think, 5:30 in the morning. So we're taking valuable time from your morning sadhana time, translation time, japa time. I'm sure you must do lots of important devotional activity during this time. So we're really indebted and grateful that you're taking a little bit of time from that time to just share some Krishna Katha with all of us here. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. I'm really honored that you so kindly invited me here. And whatever service I can do for the devotees is my great privilege. Thank you, Radharani Mataji, for kindly inviting me and honoring me, Mataji. So please let me know when I have to start, so I can start. Prabhu, your phone is it's muted, I think.
It's okay. It's like a little bit distorted. I don't know if there's anything you can adjust or anything.
Yeah, I think it's mute on our ends. That's why it's happening like that.
No, I don't think so. I think it's
because the resounds are reflecting.
Okay, I can hear both of you right now. So Prabhu, let me know when I can start the class.
Okay, we'll give it a couple more minutes, Prabhu. Couple more minutes, and then. Okay. His Holiness Jayadvait Maharaj is just joining us also, so
okay.
We can welcome him also.
Okay.
And many people are still just joining, so.
Okay.
You just start chanting.
Yeah. He was on. Madan Gopal Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Madan Gopal Prabhu. My pranams.
Would you like to do a couple of minutes of kirtan?
Sure. Yeah, we can do kirtan. What I've seen from our experience is that we'll have to mute everyone else, because otherwise the kirtan gets, because of the delay and all, it really becomes quite messy. So August Kirtan is Mansi Ganga also here, so just two of us will do and mute everyone else. Okay.
Okay. Good. Get us off from video now.
Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namite. Please sing along. Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Jai Gaura Brahmande.
Hari Bol.
Thank you very much. And thank you again, Hari Parsada Prabhu, for joining. It's a real honor that you have taken out some time for us. So we're looking forward to hearing from you. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Madan Gopal Prabhu, for bandwidth reasons, should
Very nice. Thank you.
go off video or is it okay?
Sorry?
For bandwidth reasons, should people go off video or is it okay?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. So I request everyone to turn off their video feeds now. So for some of us who have a poorer bandwidth, it'll be a smoother experience. So please mute yourselves and turn off your video feed so then we can also see clearly Hari Parsada Prabhu and hear him better. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, maybe for those of you who don't know Hari Parsada Prabhu, I'll just give a brief introduction. And then we'll request Prabhuji to start the class. So Hari Parsada Prabhu, he is a disciple of His Holiness Radha Govinda Goswami Maharaj, and he joined ISKCON in 2002. He was born in Gauda Saraswata Brahman family in Mumbai. His father and grandfather are both devotees of Sri Sri Rukmini Vitthala of Pandharpur. Hari Parsada Prabhu is a learned Hari Parsada Das learned Sanskrit in a traditional way in his childhood and was taught the Laghu Siddhanta Kaumadi of Pandita Varadraj. Between 2002 to 2007, he served as a book distributor and organized programs and seminars for ISKCON youth in Juhu. He has also written Sanskrit verses in the Chitra Kavya style. In 2007, Hari Parsada Das was appointed assistant direct editor of Gopal Jiu Publications. Hari Parsada Das is an accomplished Sanskrit scholar, having studied the Ashtadhyayi, the complete 4,000 sutras by Panini, and completing a translation with commentary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Manasiksha in 2015. He currently compiles a fortnightly e-magazine called Sri Krishna Kathamrita Bindu, where he regularly contributes fresh translations and articles. He holds a master's degree in information technology, graduating with distinction from Manipal University in 2012. He's married with a son. Hari Parsada Das has been a member of the Shastrik Advisory Council of the GBC since 2016. So we're again very, very honored, Prabhu, that you've taken some time to just be with us and give us some virtual Sangha. Actually, Hari Parsada Prabhu was supposed to be with us in person next weekend, but unfortunately, as with everybody else, travel plans have all got cancelled. So we're honored to have him at least here with us virtually. So thank you so much again, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I hope you can hear my voice clearly.
I think it's fine. It's a little echoey, but we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I will try to speak louder. And let's begin. Our standard practice is to begin with Mangalacharan. So let's begin with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghurathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश पारिणी नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदान कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम गौरतिशे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी प्रभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you once again, Nilamani Prabhu. Thank you so much, Madan Gopal Prabhu. Thank you so much, Yashoda Dular Prabhu, and all the other devotees who are so kindly present here in the audience today. The topic which I have selected for today is every wave is favorable, and this is actually a phrase which was I first heard it from His Holiness Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Swami Maharaj, who is the godbrother of Srila Prabhupada. So he is the person from whom I heard this phrase for the first time. Every wave is favorable for a devotee. I'd like to speak something upon this topic very briefly. So the first and most important thing is that we should have a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam in front of us. So I will share a verse of Srimad Bhagavatam in front of all of you so that all of you can read along with me. So those of us who have Srimad Bhagavatam in front of us, we can read 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 35th verse. So canto 11, chapter number 2, verse number 35. In case we do not have this verse in front of us, you can just hear me. It's a very simple and easy to understand verse. Yan asthaya naro rajan na pramadyeta karhichit bhavan nililyavanetre na sthalen na padediha. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 35th verse. Yan asthaya naro rajan na pramadyeta karhichit bhavan nililyavanetre na sthalen na padediha. The translation by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada is as follows. O King, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. So this is a very important verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because this verse says, Bhavan nimilyavanetre na sthalen na pater iha. Even if a person is running with his eyes closed on this path of Bhakti Yoga, he will not fall, he will not trip on this path. It's very important because today are such times when all of us are being forced to experience this anxiety in this world. What anxiety are we forced to experience? The anxiety that there is a terrible disease spread all everywhere, and sooner or later most of us are going to get infected by it. So this anxiety has spread throughout the world, so much so that people are not willing to even meet each other or touch each other. This untouchability has spread throughout the world because of the fear of this disease. Now, the first thing that we are taught in Vedic philosophy is to not be afraid even of repeated birth and death. Never be afraid of birth and death. For a devotee is taught these two things: never to be afraid, because the devotee has taken shelter of Krishna. Because if the devotee becomes afraid, then what happens is that immediately that devotee cannot invest his mind in Krishna. Where do the acharyas say this? So acharyas have said this in books like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Srila Rupa Goswami has said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Shokamarshadibhir bhavair akrantam yasya manasam katham tasya mukundasya spurti sambhavana bhavet. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami has given 64 limbs of bhakti. In these 64 limbs of bhakti, one of the limb of bhakti is to not become a victim of lamentation, fear, anger, etc. This is one of the 64 limbs of bhakti. To not become a victim of fear, lamentation, etc. Why? Because Srila Rupa Goswami says, Shoka marshadibhir bhavair akrantam yasya manasam. If a particular person's mind has become overwhelmed by feelings of lamentation, illusion, etc., then katham tasya mukundasya spurti sambhavana bhavet. How is it possible that such a person can invest his mind in the thoughts of Lord Mukunda? So therefore, it is very important for all of us to remember this thing, that as soon as our mind is invested in fear, our mind can no longer become invested in thoughts of Lord Krishna. So does it mean that a devotee should have no fear at all? The answer to this question is that a devotee should take all the healthy precautions that are given to them by the general society. However, after taking all precautions that have been given by the general society, if the devotee is still experiencing fear, then it means that such a fear is unhealthy for the devotee. Because as soon as there is this unhealthy fear in the devotee, it will not be possible for the devotee to confidently execute his or her bhakti, his or her bhajan. I was born in that part of the world, in India, which has faced so many epidemics and pandemics and calamities in the past 150 years. Many epidemics and pandemics and calamities were faced by India in the past 150 years. And my own grandparents, my grandfather, he throughout his life was executing devotional service to Sri Rukmini Vitthal in Pandharpur. My grandmother also was following in the same path. Both of them used to wear Kanthi Mala, and both of them used to observe Ekadashi, and both of them used to chant the names of the Lord. My grandfather, he lived for 103 years, and my grandmother lived for more than 95 years. So both of them were able to live almost the entire duration of life, which is destined for a human being in Kali Yuga. Both of them survived both world wars, survived cholera, survived plagues, survived every particular pandemic and epidemic there was without taking a single dose of vaccination. When I used to ask him as to why he had such faith in Bhagavan, he used to point out a verse from the Bhagavatam to me, And this verse was very nice in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, 18th verse. First canto, 5th chapter, 18th verse. This is Narad Muni giving instructions to Sri Vyasadeva, and he says this thing. Tasyaiva hetoh prayatet kovido na labhyate yad brahmatam uparyadaha tal labhyate dukkavad anyatah sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira ramhasa. Tasyaiva hetoh prayatet kovido. The intelligent person, kovida, should attempt to do something. Tasyaiva hetu, should attempt that by which na labhyate yad brahmatam uparyadaha, by which one does not have to again and again repeat the cycle of birth and death. Tal labhyate dukkavad anyatah sukham, because happiness and distress are automatically experienced in this material world. Kalena sarvatra, by time, by effects of time. So when I saw this verse, I also saw the commentary of Srila Sridhar Swami on this verse. So Srila Sridhar Swami has made a very important comment on this verse. Srila Sridhar Swami, commenting on this verse, says this thing. अप्रार्थितानि दुःखानि यथैव आयान्ति देहिनां सुखानि अपि तथा मन्ये दैवम् अत्रातिरिच्यते. Sridhar Swami says, अप्रार्थितानि दुःखानि, unhappiness, misery, sorrow comes अप्रार्थितानि, without praying for it. Dear devotees, we never prayed for any misery, but still miseries are upon our head. Today it's a fact. Miseries are upon our head even though we did not pray for it. Sridhar Swami says, Aprarthitani dukkhani. Just as miseries come upon us without praying for them. Yathaiva ayanti. Just as they come upon us. Sehinam. Sukhani api tatha manye. Similarly, happiness also comes without praying. Without praying, happiness comes to us. Daivam atra atirichyate. But Sridhar Swami says, but the human being still experiences sorrow in both cases. Why? In trying to avoid sorrows independently and in independently trying to attain joy. This is the additional suffering for everyone. Even though suffering and happiness comes without praying, still, human beings experience additional suffering because of only one reason. That is independently trying to avoid that suffering and independently trying to attain some joy. So this is one very important point which was told by him to me. I was meditating on what I heard from the Bhagavatam from my grandfather in this regard. And I also meditated upon the fact that so much fear has been peddled in the world today. Previously, let's imagine living in an epidemic before the internet era. That is, before the internet, before there was TV news, 24 hours news programming, there were so many people in the world who lived through epidemics and pandemics. However, what was missing at that time was the amount of crazy fear that has been created. There was fear even in those times, and there is fear even today. But dear devotees, there is a big difference between the fear that was existing previously and the fear that exists today. What is the difference? Today, just like the score in a baseball match, on TV, the number of deaths are being shown. Just like they show the score of a baseball match or the score of a cricket match. Exactly like that, they are showing the number of deaths that are happening all around the world on TV. So they are counting every death live on TV in front of us. And because they are counting every death, live in front of us. For this reason, what is happening is that people are experiencing immense amount of fear, and many countries have locked themselves up. This fear is existing in the world today. Whereas if we see some common diseases in third world countries, more number of people die because of diseases like tuberculosis. In first world countries, more number of people die because of diseases like cancer and heart attacks. But because they are not shown in the form of an ever increasing counter on national television, for this reason fear and panic is not generated. So dear devotees, what we are living in this today's age is that we are living in times of a media created fear over each and every death that is occurring due to a particular pandemic. I am not trying to downplay the seriousness of any disease or any pandemic, but what I am trying to highlight here is the manner in which the connected world, our being connected to each other through social media, through internet, through TV programming, has created so much collective fear in the mind of the society. And such collective fear is absolutely unhealthy for the entire society. And if the devotee also keeps fear in the mind, then that devotee will not be able to execute their bhajan peacefully. So, in Shastra, there is one very important statement which is made. This important statement is said, Arakshitam Tishthati Daiva Rakshitam, Surakshitam Daiva Hatam Vinashyati. It's a very important statement in Shastra. Arakshitam Tishthati Daiva Rakshitam, Surakshitam Daiva Hatam Vinashyati. That a person who is unprotected may still remain safe if that person is favored by his previous karma or his fate. But Surakshitam, a person who is in a so-called safe condition, Daiva Hatam Vinashyati, that person can also die. Many people die at the comfort of their home, in the safety and security of their homes. Whereas there are many orphan children who are left in the forests, but they survive. So one thing should be understood by all of us, that even though we may try our best to avoid many miseries, but unfortunately so many miseries cannot be avoided by us. At this point of time, there is only one thing that can help a person who is helpless, because 99.9% of the world's population is rendered helpless because they cannot do anything to check the progress of the epidemic that has fallen on their head. They cannot do anything to check that progress. 99.9% of the people are unable to do anything. Those who are able to do something, they are trying their best, but still Daivam, that is whatever is destined for them, is going to happen. Just as in all the past pandemics and epidemics, whatever was destined was going to happen. So the devotee should be very intelligent to immediately take shelter of Krishna. And I will give some past examples also, because it is important to also highlight past examples. Srila Prabhupada himself lived through so many eras of disease, economic depression, but at the same time, Srila Prabhupada himself was ever fixed in his bhajan. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur lived through an entire era in which India was dominated by the British and economically exploited. But at the same time, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur never faltered in his bhajan, in his bhakti. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Rupa Goswami himself, his own brother Anupam, died at a very young age. He did not live very long. That is Srila Jiva Goswami's father Anupam Goswami died at a very young age. But Srila Rupa Goswami had absolutely no complaints. And when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Rupa Goswami only told him one thing, that Anupam has attained Gangavas. Gangavas means he has left his body and we have cremated his body in the and given the ashes to Ganga Devi. So he has attained Gangavas, which means he has left his body. So Srila Rupa Goswami never complained or never ever asked these questions to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Daivam Atrati Richyate. In many cases, the previous fate of the devotee, in many cases, what is decided by Krishna for the devotee, this is what works for the devotee. So without any fear, the devotee should continue executing their bhajan. And they should never ever become afraid because somebody is showing them fear mongering by showing them statistics of death. If we are shown statistics of death for all other causes of death in the United States, for example, heart attacks, cancer, or accidents, then it will be a really scary situation for all of us. So, dear devotees, we all know there is nothing new under the sun. Many people have died in the past because of various pandemics. Today is a new epidemic which is spreading around in the world. People are dying, and the devotee at this point of time, without fear, should take shelter of Abhay Charan. Abhay Charan is the name of Lord Krishna. Should take shelter of Lord Krishna, because only by taking shelter of Abhay Charan, Bhagavan Krishna, can a person be completely free from fear, execute their bhajan. Because the first thing that a devotee should learn is never to become afraid of birth or death. As long as we are existing in this world, we are existing for Krishna's seva, and whenever Krishna wants, we are willing to accept either birth or death as long as it comes for the service of Krishna. Just like Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Maro bhi, rakho bhi, jo ichha tohar, nitya das huya prati tava adhikar. That whether you kill me or whether you keep me alive, that is purely your desire. I am your servant. You can do whatever you want. So, dear devotees, this was something brief about a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This path of Bhakti Yoga, it never fails us. It never fails us because this path of Bhakti is a path of expressing love and gratitude towards Bhagavan. And when somebody expresses their love and gratitude towards Bhagavan, at that point of time, even Bhagavan becomes indebted to that devotee. None of the past acharyas, I would also like to say, none of the past acharyas in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya or in the Madhva Sampradaya, none of the past acharyas were ever affected by epidemics or pandemics. Do we ever hear that a specific acharya, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, or any other acharya, they left their body because of a pandemic or epidemic? The answer is no. Because they were fully dependent on Krishna, none of these devotees left their bodies in a very difficult situation like an epidemic or pandemic. Forget about epidemics and pandemics. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan was living, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was living in a time when India was under the sword of Mughal rule or Islamic rule. In this Islamic rule, they would send soldiers from time to time to find any sadhu and to kill a sadhu. At that time, there was a bounty placed on the head of every sadhu. There was a marauder named Ahmad Shah Abdali who had placed a bounty on the head of every sadhu, that if you are able to find a sadhu and bring his head, then you will get 1 gold coin from Ahmad Shah Abdali. So they tried to persecute many sadhus, but the sadhus would always escape to Vrindavan, and in the dense forests of Vrindavan, the soldiers could not able to find them. So dear devotees, just as sadhus have taken shelter of Vrindavan and Krishna and have peacefully executed their bhajan, and even marauders and terrorists have not been able to harm them, similarly it is time for us to take complete shelter of Lord Krishna, because after taking shelter of Lord Krishna, it is not possible that the devotee will suffer through the same difficulties that a non-devotee suffers through. So at this point of time, I would like to pause and I would like to invite some comments or questions from all of you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hari Parsada Prabhu. Dhanyavad. So I wanted to clarify something you said about Sridhar Swami's verse that we never prayed for any miseries, but they came upon us anyway. We never prayed for happiness, but it came upon us anyway. And where I was not very clear was when you said, still the human being experiences sorrow because of independently trying to avoid that suffering or independently trying to get that enjoyment.
Yes, Prabhu.
Could you clarify that, please?
Yes, Prabhu. For example, I am destined to get some suffering. For example, most people get a cold at least once every year. It is statistically seen. Most people get a cold at least once every year. So, if I know this fact that this year when the season changes, I am most likely going to get a cold, and then I try to take some anxiety as to how it can be avoided, and then I take some medicine in order to avoid it before it comes, and maybe I am able to avoid that cold, seasonal cold. But that same reaction which was supposed to come to me in the form of seasonal cold comes through some other direction. It comes in some other way. For example, I don't get seasonal cold this year, but I get some other disease which I had not expected. So I was going to get that suffering one way or the other. But my additional anxiety was that I spent so much of my effort in trying to prevent what was already destined to come to me in some way or other. What I should have done was, I should have taken basic precautions and not taken extra anxiety about it. So taking a little precaution is nice, but going ahead and taking anxiety about it from time to time is what is unhealthy. Similarly, Sridhar Swami says that people want happiness, and for happiness they struggle a lot. Whereas the devotee's duty is to endeavor only bare minimum, and after endeavoring bare minimum that does not disturb his or her bhajan, then whatever happiness comes out of its own accord should be accepted by the devotee. That is Sridhar Swami's very clear opinion, because as soon as a devotee invests his mind excessively in trying to avoid suffering or invests his mind in excessively trying to attain some joy, at that point of time his main purpose of life, that in a very short life he has to attain some purpose, that main purpose of life becomes sidelined. So that is the sum and substance of that verse.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Prabhuji, you said that none of the acharyas had ever succumbed to an epidemic or pandemic. I accept that. But you seem to be saying that devotees were somehow immune to material threats. But we see that the Mughals destroyed the Govindji temple, they sacked Vrindavan, they killed thousands of Vaishnavas. We hear Jatayu was killed by Ravana. So just empirically, it doesn't seem so that devotees are somehow exempt from troubles or even death visited by material forces. So what's our understanding here?
Okay, Prabhu, this is a very nice question. Prabhuji, can I please know your name, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can I please know your name, Prabhuji?
Jayadvaita Swami.
Oh, sorry, I'm really sorry, Maharaj, I couldn't.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I should have said who I was.
So, thank you so much, Maharaj, for this wonderful question. Yes, I agree to this fact that despite what I have said, there is empirical evidence that Vaishnavas or Sadhus, they have been attacked by various forces like the Mughals, and Jatayu himself was killed by Ravana. So as far as Jatayu's case is concerned, Jatayu's case is different because just like in the Mahabharata, so many warriors who died in the personal presence of Lord Krishna, and Bhishma Pitamaha says in the first canto, Yam ihe niriksha hata gata swarupam, because they saw Lord Krishna and passed away, so they attained their swarupa in the spiritual world. Similar is the case for Jatayu, because when he passed away in the arms of Lord Ram. So as a part of a Leela, his role was to attack Ravan and to pass away in the arms of Lord Ram, and he executed his role perfectly. But when speaking about devotees who are born in Kali Yuga, so devotees who are born in Kali Yuga, many times it happens that they pass away. Sometimes it is seen that they pass away in circumstances wherein it seems that this is an unnatural death, or such a death should not have occurred for a devotee. So Srila Jiva Goswami takes up this discussion in the Bhakti Sandarbha. In the Bhakti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami says this thing, that Ma Vasudeva Bhaktanam Ashubham Vidyate Kvachit. It is not possible that devotees of Lord Vasudeva will encounter any true inauspiciousness. But if some inauspiciousness is seen in the life of a devotee, for example, some physical disability or some unnatural death, so Srila Rupa Goswami has already told us in Nectar of Instruction, Na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyat. So we should not see the devotee on the exact same level as a materialistic person, because thinking like that will immediately give rise to a tendency of thinking atheistically, that if the devotee and the non-devotee are going to have the same fate, then many times the devotee may fall into doubt. Then what is the use of executing devotion if there was no difference in the fate of the devotee and the non-devotee? Srila Jiva Goswami says in Bhakti Sandarbha, Anuchcheda 157, I am repeating his words. Atraivam chintyam. So whenever devotee experiences some unnatural disturbances, atraivam chintyam, the following reason should be understood. What reason? Srila Jiva Goswami says, Bhagavad Bhakti Antarayakam Samanyam Prarabdham Karma Na Bhavitum Arhati. So it is not possible for ordinary karma to become an obstacle in the bhakti of a devotee. It is not possible that ordinary karma can become an obstacle for the devotee's devotional service. Why is it so? Srila Jiva Goswami says, Durbalatvat, because ordinary karma is very feeble in front of the devotee's bhakti. So then why is the devotee experiencing such suffering? So Srila Jiva Goswami says, Tataha prachina aparadhatmakam eva tal labhyate. So one should understand that this is some result of some prachin aparadh or some past aparadh that the devotee has committed. And Jiva Goswami gives an example. Indra Dyumnadinam iva iti. Just as the king Indra Dyumna became Gajendra because of his previous aparadh, or because the previous aparadh was he committed an offense towards Agastya Muni, the sage Agastya, and this offense is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 4th chapter, verse number 7 to 10. So Srila Jiva Goswami is very clear that devotees do not suffer because of their previous karma. Of course, devotees may seem to be suffering because they might have committed some previous Vaishnava aparadh or some previous Seva aparadh. So this is the reason for the suffering that is seen in the devotees. They certainly do not suffer because of their karma. So this is the understanding that is present in Gaudiya Vaishnavas.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
So there is another question. What was the king's name or story who caused trouble to the sadhus and they escaped to the forest? The king's name is Ahmad Shah Abdali. Ahmad Shah Abdali. So this is the name of the king, and this king had placed a bounty upon the heads of the sadhus. His troops entered into Vrindavan in around, there was one particular year, 1600 or 1700. They entered into Vrindavan and they tried to murder many sadhus. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they were present in Vrindavan at that point of time. But by Krishna's arrangement, nothing happened to both of them. So they were able to stay in the forest of Vrindavan and avoid these forces, marauding forces of Ahmad Shah Abdali. So this is the answer.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
This is Ananda Rupa from New Jersey. I am very happy to hear your class and gave me a lot of relief, because every day, as you said, we are hearing about this one died, that one died, number of people who are dying. So my question is, Prabhuji, how should we develop this unflinching faith that whatever may happen to me, I should consider it as Krishna's mercy? How should I develop that?
See, the thing is, for the first time in history, as I said, for the first time in history, we are being shown on TV that every death is being counted live on television. Every death is being counted live on television. Now, if every death that is occurring in the world is counted live on television, then we will be put into such an atmosphere of fear and anxiety. The first thing a devotee should do is, a devotee should try to live a life which is as free as possible from these external influences. As free as possible from these external influences. Because the more we listen to TV programming, the more we listen to internet programming, the more we listen to social media, the more we are exposed to these non-devotional currents of thought. Once in a day, to know the statistics is not a big problem. But to spend every half an hour to check how many people have died, this is certainly not the duty of a devotee. Because if a devotee invests his mind in every half an hour, how many people are died and am I the next person, then it means that the devotee is exhibiting a lack of faith in the process of bhajan. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says 3 types of people are destroyed in their bhakti. Please listen carefully. Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, verse number 40, 4.40. Krishna says 3 types of people meet with failure on their path of bhakti. He says, Agyaha cha ashraddhadhanas cha samshayatma vinashyati. These are three types of people who fail. Who are these three types of people? Agyaha. First person who does not know what is given in Shastra and how to execute bhakti. That person fails in their bhakti. Cha ashraddha. Second person who knows what is bhakti but who is completely unfaithful, does not have any faith in bhakti. This is the second person. Third is samshayatma. Samshayatma means the person who has a little bit of faith, but that faith is riddled with doubts. These three types of people perish in their bhakti. They do not attain Krishna bhakti. And then Krishna specifically picks out the third category. In the second line, in the third and fourth line, he picks out the second category and says, Nayam lokosti na paro na sukham samshayatma. He says, na sukham samshayatma, especially for a doubtful person. There is no happiness in this world and no happiness in the next world. So if as a devotee, I am going to stay like this, that now I am in an atmosphere of fear. When am I going to die because of this disease? Is it today or is it tomorrow or is it day after tomorrow or after 1 month or after 2 months? Am I going to die out of this disease? So we are falling exactly in the category of Sanshayatma. Sanshayatma means a person who has little faith but whose faith is riddled with doubts. So we should try to avoid coming into that category. And how should we do that? That we should invest our minds in thinking about Krishna instead of listening to 24-hour news programming or 24-hour social media. If, please take my word for this, if there was no social media or 24-hour news programming, the amount of panic that has been caused today, even 1% of that panic would not have been generated. More number of people are dying because of heart attacks or cancer in the United States of America. This is a fact. More number of people are dying because of heart attacks and cancer in the United States of America. Just if you see the official reports themselves say that the leading cause of death in the United States is heart disease. 647,000 people died out of heart disease in 2018. But none of this was shown on TV as an increasing counter. 600,000 people died of cancer, but none of this was shown on a TV as an increasing counter. But because we are being intentionally put into fear, so the first thing we can do is we have a choice. What choice do we have? To not listen to these opinions. There is nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. People died because of some other reasons. Now some people are dying because of a new reason. We can take all the precautions, but please believe me, there is nothing new under the sun. And without having any fear, to continue to execute our bhajan, because for a devotee, the devotee should have this faith that since I have taken shelter of Lord Shri Krishna, therefore let Lord Krishna decide what is going to happen with me. I will not let my karma decide what is going to happen. That is the way of ensuring fearlessness. Thank you.
So to speak here.
Hare Krishna, Hari Parsada Prabhu, this is Shri Radhika.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question along the question of Jayadvaita Maharaj. It's along that line it's again like when you answer his questions, it still seems like question rises in my head that devotees immune a little bit, I mean pure devotees immune to all this suffering, but yet we see throughout Srimad Bhagavatam they go through so many difficulties. But your answer was that we should think due to some past offense or some kind of, they might go through that difficulty. It also creates something in my mind that if we're gonna think, if devotee around us dying prematurely or going through some suffering, health issue suffering, it kind of puts us in a situation, very critical mindset, or very hardness when we are thinking that, oh, due to their some kind of offense in the past or in this life, it creates unhealthy mindset in a person, a kind of like maybe a little judgmental and critical, because that's how simple-minded we are. If we hear that answer, that we think that way, you know, how you can address that? Maybe you can get more explanation, because suffering are here, what you're going through the suffering we see everywhere, but we don't like to hear or think that way about each other, that it's due to the offense.
Yes. Okay. So I would like to again highlight some more details on this point. I had read from Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary on the Bhakti Sandarbha, but it should be understood that the devotee sees this mainly when the suffering has fallen upon themselves. Not the devotee should not try to judge it when the suffering has fallen upon other devotees. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also addresses the same point in his commentary to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I am pointing out the exact words he has used in his commentary to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The exact verse is 1.1.22. In his commentary to verse number 1.1.22, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the following. He says, Bhaktanam prarabdha samanya nashepi yat sukha dukkham drishyate. Even though devotees are not subject to prarabdha karma, if they are not subject to their karma, yat sukha dukkham drishyate, but still there is some happiness or unhappiness seen in their lives. Then he says, Tatra tu sukham bhakter anushangikam phalam. So whatever happiness is seen in a devotee's life is not because of their past karma. The happiness is a side effect of executing their bhakti. And then he says, Dukkham tu kutrachit bhagavat dattam. But if there is some unhappiness in the life of a devotee, then the first thing that a devotee should see. So if we see unhappiness in some other devotee's life, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the first line of approach which we should have is Bhagavat Dattam, that this unhappiness in the life of this devotee has been bestowed by the Lord. Now, this doesn't mean that we are judging them. So we also see the suffering in the life of another devotee as mercy bestowed by the Lord, because unless the devotee knows what is suffering as well as happiness, the devotee cannot get out of the material world. So Bhagavan sometimes gives happiness as well as distress to the devotee. So whenever we see some distress in the life of a devotee, we know that this is not because of his or her previous karma. When we say that this is not because of his previous karma, at that time we immediately remove our judgmental nature, because our judgmental nature occurs when we say that this person is suffering because of his previous karma. But for a Vaishnava, we say no, this is not suffering because of his previous karma. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says we should understand that it is Bhagavat Dattam, which means it has been given by the Lord himself for some purpose. And then he also says the same thing that Jiva Goswami says, Putrachid Vaishnav aparadhadi phalam iti vivechaniya. In some cases, like in our own case, if this happens, so when it happens in our own case, when we experience unhappiness, we should understand that it is either Seva Aparad or Vaishnava Aparad or some other Aparad. But when it happens in the case of somebody else, we should know that it is due to the Lord arranging some difficulty for them in order to give some specific direction to the devotee. So this is how it should be seen, and in this way our judgmental mentality can be avoided. Thank you, Mati.
Thank you so much, Hari Parsada Prabhu. But it's also maybe we can look at it this way. Sometimes in difficulties, when we see devotees in difficulties, their good qualities shine. You know, their good character shines, and we can learn a lot from devotees, because in Shastras, and we can see a lot of calamities, but they come out as a very mature, very sincere and devoted, devotees of Lord Krishna. So we can see from that perspective also, so we cannot, we don't judge.
Exactly. So just as Abhimanyu was killed in a very gruesome manner in the war of Mahabharata, but the entire world remembers Abhimanyu as a very great warrior, and the entire world knows that Abhimanyu passed away in the presence of Lord Krishna in the Mahabharata battle, attained the spiritual world, and everybody in future will remember Abhimanyu as a very great warrior. So Krishna sometimes glorifies the devotees, even though it externally seems that he has put them in some suffering.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hari Parsada Prabhu, for a wonderful class. It was interesting that just yesterday, His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj also made this same point, that we should not be, so attracted by the news media and social media and so forth, even though it's alluring us as we hear and as we speak to either our colleagues at work or devotees or our neighbors or friends. Everyone keeps bringing this subject up, but somehow, we should try to not ignore it, but not get too caught up in it, right? And carry on about our daily business, whether it's work related, and use this opportunity to just increase our sadhana, increase our bhakti in whatever way we can, and use this as an opportunity to understand that it's Krishna's arrangement to give us a little bit more time and that motivation to try to look deeper inside ourselves to see, how important this process of Krishna consciousness is. So thank you so much for, just re-emphasizing that same point in such a nice way. And again,
Prabhu, I think there's still one question, a quick one from Acharya Prabhu.
Okay, go ahead.
It's right in the chat. Yep. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hari Krishna. Thank you, Hari Parsada Prabhu, for the nice class. One follow-up question. You mentioned that sometimes devotees are suffering because of their seva aparad or their Vaishnava aparad offenses. So is there a way to kind of take as a, Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. I think you typed this question also. What is the best way to proactively nullify future effects of seva aparad?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So there are two different aparadhas here: seva aparad and Vaishnava aparad, and how to nullify them. This has been very clearly spoken about in Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The best way to avoid seva aparad and future seva aparads also by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is, when we are performing any seva, we should constantly try to chant Krishna's name. Why? Because there is a very nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, and maybe you can note down the verse number. And this verse occurs in the 8th canto. This verse is Mantratas Tantratas Chidram Deshakala Vastita. This is verse 8th canto, 23rd chapter, 16th verse. Maybe it's a nice verse. I would encourage devotees to memorize this verse. 8th canto, 23rd chapter, 16th verse. This verse is saying Mantratas Tantratas Chidram Desha Kalar Vastitah Sarvam Karoti Nishchidram Anu Sankirtanam Tava. He says there may be faults in the pronunciation of mantra, there may be faults in observing the regulative principles, and there may be various discrepancies in regards to time, place, and circumstance. But everything becomes faultless when your Lordship's name is chanted. So this is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's solution for avoiding seva aparad. For avoiding Vaishnava aparad, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has said that we should personally go to that Vaishnava and we should placate that Vaishnav. We should say sorry to that Vaishnav, and we should also try to make the Vaishnav pleased towards us, if this is possible. And if this is not possible, maybe because the Vaishnav whom we offended has gone far away or has left this world, then he has given other solutions, such as taking complete shelter of the holy name and chanting in a remorseful mood. So all these solutions have been given in Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So anyway, I think our time is over. So once again, I think let's all say Hari Bol to Hari Parsada Prabhu. It was again a wonderful class and wonderful association.
Hari.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Very nice class.
Thank you.
Prabhu, as this continues for a little longer, we will request you to join us again one of these days, if that's okay.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you all so much. So tomorrow, just for those of you who don't know, we again have a very, very wonderful opportunity. Tomorrow is our regular Sunday feast class at 6 p.m. Tomorrow, so class is not at 8 p.m. Tomorrow it's at 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m. And tomorrow we will have His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu, who was actually supposed to be with us in person this weekend, but could not travel. So he will also join us on the same Zoom link. Please join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. for class with His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.